versus the 221 season model, Morgan Sibley. I mean, it was an amazing amount of refinement that went on as we see the replay of his last ride.
Yeah, so Morgan just slicing off the top there and just using a little bit of backwash in the wave to put a bit of spice on that top turn there. Not quite finishing off, but I think the strength of those first two turns is going to net him a fairly decent number. Nothing in the excellent range, but the kid, as you were saying, back to your point, his progression was just phenomenal. And I think some of that needs to be credited to a board change.
Big board change, for sure. Jumped off the Will Webbers after qualifying. And, Will was a huge believer in Morgan's talent. On the sharp eyes now, there's definitely been an improvement, but I think psychologically too. Morgan was, until he got himself into a position to qualify, I think it's fair to say he was kind of like a third-tier surfer on the ripcurl team. 18 was Mick Fanning, Tyler Wright, Gabriel Medina, Owen Wright. And Morgan didn't really kind of factor in that much. Then there was an opportunity last year for Morgan to get involved in some filming away from obviously the grind of the QS, and before he graduated to the championship tour, they put out a movie. They based that movie around Morgan. The fact that he finally had the opportunity to maybe be on the search and he couldn't travel anywhere. It was a great fun project for him to be a part of, and it really put him in the spotlight. And I think that can give a surfer a massive amount of confidence. People know who he is now. It's not like Morgan's able to sort of walk down the street and not be recognised. His jersey was a sellout up there at Newcastle.
One thing for me that he's bringing to the table is consistency.
Here we go. This is Liam O'Brien, the 21-year-old. Drives up into the first section. He's been patient with that priority. Needs to make it count, and he'll go down. And that's going to hand a big advantage over to Morgan Sibley, who just dropped a 4.5. He'll now have priority on the outside with 12.5 minutes to go. Semi-final one underway, and Liam O'Brien, the wild card, opting for the forehand on this ride. Trying to track down Morgan Sibley, who's jumped to a small lead at this stage. He needs a 5.84 Liam to get himself into the lead here. 10.5 minutes to go on what will be finals day at the ripcurl rottnest Search presented by Corona. And both these surfers on their way to a big finish here. Morgan already cracked the semi-final this season. So he'll be making a jump into the leaderboard's top 10. As we see the replay of Liam here.
Yeah, Liam just hammers that final section there on the right. So maybe just switching his tactics here a little bit. Just opting to get some numbers on the board. Under Morgan's priority. Well, Joe Thompson was down there with his book open, and he was counting. He was actually writing down how many rideable, scoreable waves there were on the rights versus the lefts. And he did say to Liam, look, if you need a six, a dependable six, you're going to be able to get it on those right-handers if you're in that position.
We'll see where that number falls in just a moment. 9.5 minutes remaining here. Morgan's at the back with priority. Great to have the option of rights and lefts out there in the lineup. We've seen it happen a couple of times in the dying moments. Even when a surfer doesn't have priority, positioning themselves on the right side of the peak, waiting patiently to see what track the surfer with priority takes before maybe scrapping into the other side. And still getting an opportunity to score. We had a number drop for Liam O'Brien, 4.6, not enough to get him into the lead. But the requirement now just a 3.57.
Yeah, all the points really in that final turn, just laying on that hillside rail here. So you can see that bump on the face, but watch this, throws that back arm in, really leans into it, compresses off the lip, and now all the weight on the tail. Keeping that nose of the board out.
Looks like an old favourite, that board.
It does, mate, and I'm pretty sure that he jumped down and went for the 5.11, I think, which is 18.25. 2 and 5 16s, 26.8 litres, and it's a DHD DNA model. And he was riding the 6.2 Dutch nuts this morning.
Here we go. A split peak situation here. Liam sticking with the right, doesn't get the first turn going, so he gives up on it. But Morgan Sibley still hanging away on the back end, gets that finish. And I think really his style, Rich, that low planted style has really served him well in riding out of the tricky end sections here. He's been very reliable for solid finishes.
He's consistently dependable is what he is, and he just delivers time and time again. He's not really a blue collar battler anymore. He's just powering through the round here.
Yeah, we were saying before, he wasn't really part of that ripcurl 18, but based on his success, his performance in the Bat Movie postcards from Morgs, he signed a 3-year deal with ripcurl last December. Here's a replay, that first turn, so strong, a lot of speed generated as he exited the manoeuvre.
So much speed through those first two turns. Just elongating that bottom turn with the bigger waves. Just watch him sit on it just for that moment, jams it under the pocket, comes around again. Just very composed off the bottom. And then hits that final section. So that'll be the best way of the heat so far. Advantage Morgan here, and all of a sudden we're under 7 minutes in this one, flying through.
Yeah, still time for some big numbers, given 6.5 minutes. These two surfers, obviously their first championship tour heat, but by no means their first exchange.
Yeah, I love the mind games this heat must have brought to both these guys. You know, they've taken down such big names in the event to get to this point. And now they must feel like they're just in a QS matchup. And, you know, both of them will be able to see the final in their sights. And it's been pretty scrappy so far. So hopefully these guys can just calm down and maybe find a bomb and just get back to that killer form.
Yeah, it's true. Good numbers are coming through for Morgan on that last ride, though. Probably on the strength of the first turn. 6.17 as we see the 2019 World Champ gearing up for what could be something pretty special.
Yeah, this could be a match-up for the ages for sure. And Italo not going far from his pre-heat warm-up live action.
Just under 5.5 minutes ago, Liam gets hung up there for a moment, and that'll really punish him on the scorecard.
Looking at that wave runner, I'm wondering whether he did take his 6.2 out, because the board looks like it's getting just a little bit stuck in the lip. It's happened more than once in this heat now. Okay, just got confirmation that he is riding that 5.11. And interesting, these guys are both on very similar volumes. Morgan's on a 5.10, 18s and 7.16s, 2.5, 26.3 litres sharp eye, so very similar in the volume these guys are riding. And Morgan's just an inch shorter.
5 minutes to go, the judging criteria on display there for you. and we're looking for innovative and progressive manoeuvres that will be obviously very highly rewarded. We haven't seen much of that in this heat. We've seen a combination of some pretty solid turns from Morgan. But simple major manoeuvres, they can fetch you big numbers as well. And Liam O'Brien, if he keeps picking these waves with just that one big section on offer, he might have to rely on one of those to get through this heat. The requirement's not monster at the moment, Rich. Just a 6.08 is what he's after. And as you can see, that's just at the high end of that good range. So I feel like Liam's still got a shot here, even though Morgan's in control.
Yeah, Morgan is in control. And the other thing to note at the 4-minute mark, Morgan had priority, so he's going to be looking to better that 4. So here's what happened earlier. Morgan just started to really warm into this heat at the halfway mark. That turn there, where he really drifted the tail out. Got it loose, but regained control, kept his composure. And this is Liam on the forehand. It's a fairly decent card to start things off, but this turn here, he really lays into it, gets that rail engaged. That was critical surfing, that's what the judges want to see. A bigger wave here for Morgan. This is the best wave of the heat so far. Driving off the bottom, connects, look how fast he exits these turns, squirts out of it. More live action.
Well, here we go, Liam O'Brien goes looking for the pit, tucks in, gets swamped by the whitewater. And we just have 3 minutes to go. He's got to be sure that he doesn't put himself out of position for a quality wave on the outside. That one just never really looked like much. I'll just be getting a bit desperate. I think these two surfers, Rich, have reached this point by not letting the occasion overwhelm them. With this matchup, I think both of them see a fantastic opportunity to crack their first championship tour final.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether the enormity of that situation that they're in right now, where they're so close, one heat away from the opportunity to be the champion, is just sort of played a bit heavy on them, and they haven't been able to just eliminate that from the mind and just get back to what they've been doing, get back to that formula that's worked so well for them both in this event.
Well, some surfers on the championship tour, they really do step up and do their best when they're against a big name. I think Morgan's one of those surfers, so to have a match-up where he's got such a fantastic opportunity to crack his first championship final. We've seen him up against the likes of Medina, pushing him in the semi-final, staying on pace, giving himself an opportunity to have a go at a victory. And maybe this heat for Morgan is just almost like motivation enough. He's trying to play it a little safer.
Yeah, I think so, and I just think the new conditions as well. So there's a couple of factors that have gone into this performance, and you can see by no means is it a high-scoring affair. I think both our surfers, we're just sort of struggling to figure out the conditions. They both had free surfs, but it's changing with each half an hour that goes past here. Now Morgan, he's in a position here where he can really lock this and put the nail in the coffin on this one.
You hear the surfers say it. One heat at a time, and that's what they're focused on at the moment. They're not surfing against those world champions just yet, but there is going to need to be a performance shift from whoever wins this heat once they get into that final heat, because it doesn't matter who they're surfing against. That person is going to be putting up excellent numbers, and right now, the scores that the guys have on the board, they're just not going to cut it.
Yeah, this is like a preliminary fight, and they're going to be going up against a heavyweight champ in the next heat, so they are going to have to watch this one off, whoever does get through. But I think Morgan, he's playing it sensible here. He knows that with a decent number here, he could replace that 4.5. He's having a paddle.
Well, Liam sold it to him.
Wow, okay.
A good move here. Priority is with Liam O'Brien on the wild card. Jay Thompson. He's celebrating that. This is still the best result for him at a championship tour event. Even when he was on the CT, he never cracked the semi-finals. He did have some great performances in the early rounds. But you've got to give him some credit. He's done such a great job with these two surfers. Liam O'Brien gets his opportunity on a good-looking wall. Drives up into the first section. Nice backhand snap to get started. Needs a 6.08 out of this wave. Losing a bit of flow here in the white water. Can he get to the finish? Well, there's not much in it. Morgan Sidlick on the outside. Let's see if he got this wave before the buzzer. But he cleans things up. Couple of big jams. but he doesn't ride out of that final manoeuvre. So a couple of mistakes from each of the competitors, but still a very exciting heat in the end. With Liam O'Brien selling Morgan on the wave to give himself that opportunity on the outside.
He did everything right. He sold it. He got the opportunity. The set came. Just wondering whether he really let it all hang out and just... You know, when I think about that wave, the big top turn off the top, but then nothing really after, got the cutty, and then got hung up.
Did everything right, but was the surfing there once he created that space to have a shot at the score?
Again, I come back to that, whether you're surfing defensively for a score or whether you're on attack for a score. So here's the sell. This is the one where Liam pushed Morgan into this wave, and it was really a terrible wave. But then he got this one. Look at it, one of the bigger waves at the head, definitely drives off the bottom. Critical first turn, didn't over-push it. And this is really one of the first cutbacks we've seen on the left. And just gets hung up there.
Did not finishing it off either. In the first turn, he didn't really slam the section. He got away from the pocket a little bit.
He sort of steered out of it, didn't he?
He did, and as a result, the score didn't come through at that 6.08. So we say goodbye to the wild card. Morgan Siblek, his magic run continues, and he has cracked his first championship tour final. He'll get a shot at the win in his rookie year.
Jolly from Gabriel Medina, the biggest combination of the morning.
The variety that he shows here is phenomenal.
I'm happy to have a good performance.
Medina turns in a highlight reel.
Just put his exclamation mark on it. Incredible performance by Gabriel Medina.
That's it for the show. The world champs will fight it out at semi-2. The winner will take on Morgan Siblek in the final. The ripcurl rottnest surge presented by Corona. This is going to be so much fun. Plenty of head-to-head history between Medina and Ferreira, and it is all Interlo's way. He holds a great head-to-head record against Medina, and we see him up at the moment in attack mode. A little frantic off the bottom, but that's the attack that we've come to expect from the 2019 World Champ. He has a full pedal to the metal approach. As Medina loads up, he's going to pull out the back of this one. Plenty of time on the clock to enjoy this exchange, Rich.
These guys have just turned up the volume already. And well, I keep coming back to the boxing analogy. This is like Tyson versus Ali. In terms of the styles here, aggression versus finesse, it's just amazing stuff. This heat is going to be incredible.
Well, you couldn't ask for more. Plenty of swell on offer. Long running left, the occasional right that stands up and ramps up. Gabriel Medina, the current world #1, out there in that yellow jersey, taking on Italo. Who's had a championship tour win. Both these guys seeking out their second victory this season. And what an amazing Australian leg that they've had. Two of the form surfers. But I touched on that head-to-head record between these two competitors. And Italo holds the edge over Medina. Look at this.
Okay, well, Italo taking the right, Gabby taking the left. Have a look at this thing. Just jams that huge foamy section there. And just so tight in the pocket as that thing bowls out. So a 3-2 combination there from Gabriel Medina. Bags himself an 8.5. And then Italo streaking down the line, loving that turn there. I hope he just brings some of that rail surfing and then mixes it up with some of that progression. That is one of the most gnarliest floaters you're ever going to see on the end section here at Strickland Bay. And that was a make.
Italo, I think, from Aaron onward, will ride out of all his final manoeuvres for an extra half a kilometre. At a 6.17 for Italo for that last ride. Real commitment to that tricky end section, but Medina on his first wave bridge dropping an 8.5.
Oh, that was just, it was a great wave, and he just surfed it so well. And this is the strength of Medina, being able to just lay into these huge sections, you know, head high and a half. You know, it's they're sort of 8-foot faces, and he's just bullying it like it's a 3-foot wave. And he has that ability to just bring that approach. Just so tight in the pocket, square off the bottom, critical. And links it up with a beautiful combination, 3 of them.
World champs out there in the lineup. And a world champ joining us now via the Boost Mobile. Stay connected. Call Barton Lynch. Always a pleasure to see your face.
Yeah, boys. Great to be here. What a heat or a semi-final to join you guys for. I saw that on paper and went, I've got to try and get in for that one. That's a beauty.
It sure is. Mate, how good is what's already been established? I know that you love the underdog story, and Morgan Siblick has just been a dark horse on an absolute tear through this Australian league, upsetting the big names. You can always get behind that, but I know that you have so much respect for the needle-pushing antics of these two guys out there in the water.
These two guys are two of the best surfers. They will go down and in those annals of greatness without question. And they're interesting to watch the day unfold. And then the underdogs win both of those semi-finals in Joanne Defay and Sally Fitzgibbons in the women's. So who knows which way this one goes. But when you think about it, there is no underdog in this one. And I suppose when you look at the stats, 7-3, I suppose, it would be Gabriel who's the underdog. So that doesn't make much sense either.
Remarkable heat whenever these two guys hit the lineup. Italo is certainly confident as we see a replay of Medina's first wave. But Rabbit was touching on it earlier, but I wanted to get your thoughts. We'll come back to that in a moment as we see Italo up again. Spins that board into a quick rotation, but doesn't ride out. Set standing up on the outside. But Bugs was comparing the domination of Medina to that of Kelly Slater when he first came on the championship tour. It's 6 years now that Medina's been in the top 3 in title contention each of those seasons. It's just been miraculous what he's been able to achieve.
Oh, absolutely, and that speaks volumes to the surfing ability without question. And then you imagine that at points in time during those 6 years, he has played the role of the bad guy. Italo, as he sits in this world that we live in of professional surfing, there is universal love for that guy because he just brings such positivity and gives us all hope. He's just with that joy and stoke that he brings for all of us, you know. But Gabriel has played sort of at times that sort of darker role in that thing. And sometimes results are hard to come by when you're that guy because that energy around universally isn't pushing for you to go places. So to be that consistent against that universal energy sometimes just speaks volumes to the focus and the talent that he has. And there is no better competitor. You know, when you look at competitive surfers, no one's better than Gabriel. You look at free surfing and that ability to just shock us, then these guys are both in very similar places.
Are you sensing this year, though, that Medina is looking a little less combative, a little less antagonistic than he has in previous seasons?
I would imagine that as you grow and you evolve and you're looking for edges and opportunity to improve to Gabriel Medina, and that's got to be a hard thing. So you end up going from beyond surfing and looking at all the fringe elements that contribute to global success, and I suppose that would be one of the areas for us having a look.
Yeah, it's Medina who's taking off. Deep as always here at Strickland Bay to set up this first section, and he absolutely blows that first pocket apart, but overextends on the second turn and goes down. A rare fall. But Medina, which we've picked up on it, he's had this very fun, relaxed approach to his competition. Approach this season, and as a result, he just looks so freed up with his surfing. He's thrown down monster turns. He seems very focused on just lifting his performance levels, and even without getting into those shoulder-to-shoulder battles with competitors on the takeoff zone, he's established some very healthy heat score totals.
He's nothing slipped in the surfing department. That's only gone into the stratosphere in my mind as far as I'm concerned. But personality-wise, on land, around the competition zone, he has softened, no doubt about it. And actually knowing Gabriel through those earlier years on tour, from a sponsorship perspective, I can tell you firsthand, he's a different man now. He's turned into a man, and he's sort of come from a boy who was sort of, taking not everything for granted, but perhaps not thinking the world in a wider way. I feel like he's settling into who he wants to be on tour now, and I like it.
Just on 24 minutes remaining, and not much out of that last exchange. Medina still holds the lead. It's low after a 5.94. The winner of this heat is going to take on Morgan Siblick. He's with Stace.
Been on the championship tour for all of about 5 minutes, Morgan, and you're into your first final. How good does that feel?
Yeah, it feels amazing. That heat was really tricky. That backside out there is kind of... So you don't realise how fast the waves are until you kind of get your first pump in. And but on Cycle that line, it's a pretty scrappy heat between me and Log. But hopefully I can put a few together in the final. And we'll see. So excited for this.
Saw you sitting a little bit further in, obviously trying to scrap. Did you feel like you were trying to put a bit of pressure on your friend there?
Definitely. I felt like we had these huge sets at the start of the heat that were like unreal right-handers, and I just felt like the energy was going to get sucked out of the ocean a little bit, so I just decided to get a little bit busy and try my luck on a bunch of waves. They're pretty scrappy little waves, but sometimes you got to do that to get through, and I'm happy, and hopefully in the final we get blessed with some nugs.
Looked like you picked up a new injury there. Did you want to walk us through that one?
I just got a couple tiny little cuts on my feet. I thought I was tripping on my priority decision at the end because it was pretty rogue of me. And then I stood up on that last day thinking I might need another score, so I tried to hit the end section. And I don't know if you guys have seen, but it's pretty dry in there, and I just got dragged on the rocks. But we're all good, ready to rumble.
You do pretty well with injuries. Best luck for the final, Morgan.
Thank you.
Good on your Stace here, Morgan Siblick. Just an amazing run he's been on. And it continues here. The first Australian to get himself into a final on the men's side during this four-event leg of the tour. Who will he be surfing against? Got 22 minutes to work that out. Gabriel Medina is the man in control at the moment, but it's low only after a 5.94 at this point in time to get himself into the lead. But it is a remarkable head-to-head record that Italo holds over Medina, and not too many people can boast that. It's close with a couple of other competitors at 6'5". Gabby's way to John Florence. 2-all with Felipe Toledo. With Mick Fanning back in the day, it was 5-3 to Gabby. But that's remarkable for Italo to have 7 head-to-head victories to Medina's 3. Barton Lynch watching on, and Barton, these two are very responsible for just completely changing the fortunes of goofy footers on the championship tour.
They sure have, and they're responsible for putting Brazilian surfing. Obviously, Adriano de Souza before them, but there's a great generation of Brazilian goofy foots that are seriously, staking a claim as one of the best goofy foot generations of all time.
Remarkable how they've been able to just end the domination of the regular footers, even at the right-hand point breaks.
Yeah, I wondered that this morning, because everything we'd seen this morning was on the backhand out here, and you're able to get so tight to that pocket and get up in that lip like we saw Morgan Sibulik do. And I wondered how these guys were going to go. And when it comes to a forehand rail game, for me, I feel like there's a slight advantage there for Gabriel Medina. Obviously, when they're in the air and they're off the wave face, I call it even. When they're on the backhand, they're both absolutely incredible. I call it even. And when you look at that front side and the rail game and the variety that's brought to that, I feel like there's a slight edge to Medina. But on that first wave, the 617, you see the carve and the sear in what Italy did. So both of these guys are always riding boards that the volume of the board suits them perfectly, and they never look like they're on a board that's wiggling underneath them, and it's not thick enough, or it doesn't have the right volume to weight ratio for them. Hey, Rich, they always look like they're on boards that are just perfect for them.
Absolutely, BL, and I can confirm Gabriel's on that trusty 5.11 by 19 by 2 and 7/16, 28.5 litres. John Cabianca, and I think he's riding boards that are very suited to his power output, as we see him up and riding now.
Well, let's see what kind of power he unloads on this one. Just gets a lot of speed to kick off. Reads this section beautifully, taps into the barrel, still going, but can't find his way through this one. But what a read. Set up for a big drive up into the pocket. Saw the wave was going to pit, quickly slammed the brakes on and found some vision.
That would have felt good, but you could see just how composed he was coming off the bottom, so smooth. He could see that happening down the line. And just unfortunately, no exit on this one. Let's have a look at the sky angle here. So just driving down a stylish little bottom turn, tucks up into it, hits the stall, and now he needs to go. And you can just see there, just get swallowed up by the foam ball.
Another look at it here, and you can tell there is a difference in the approach between Medina and Italo. A little less twitchy off the bottom. Gabriel Medina likes to really just hang on that rail and eye off his section, pick his opportunities. Didn't see a place for a turn there, but went looking for the pit, couldn't find the exit. But Dimity Stoyle's been chatting to each of the coaches throughout the event. And Dimity, you got to have a word with Andy King before this heat.
Yeah, I did, Ronnie, and I just asked him what they were working on before this heat. He said the theme for this heat up against Italo was just keeping it nice and smooth and seamless with transitions, and his first wave, he just did that straight away. He was just off the top and straight back onto the front foot, no bobbling in between turns, and it's showing out in the water. Just he has to put that point of difference because Italo's so dangerous and, sporadic and does amazing moves, so well done to Gabby on the first exchange.
Oh, I think sporadic is such a good word for Italo. And sometimes that twitchiness, Rich, and that sort of sporadic approach, it can kind of be frowned upon. But Italo, he's the guy that makes up for it when he gets to the pocket or when he finds a ramp. You're not really thinking about what he did off the bottom.
No, you're not. And it's a result of necking 3 Red Bulls before you go out in your heat. The guy just pumps himself up so much as you watch. You can see the head-to-head battle there on. Yeah,
amazing. 7-3. And he got him in the big one. The final of the 2019 Pipe Masters to get the win there and to snatch a third world title from Medina was huge. And I'm sure that plays on Gabriel a little bit. He's trying to overcome that out there at the moment. 16.5 minutes to go. But it's just so fun to watch these two compete. Both very unpredictable, Barton. And Rich has been touching on it as well. Medina's kind of ironed out some of those little kinks off the bottom and has established himself as just such an impressive rail surfer.
Yeah, he indeed has. The thing that I'm flashing on here, boys, is that 2 uses of priority, and Gabriel hasn't been able to secure a second ride. So that's that opportunity to find some confidence. You get the priority, you recognise that your opponent's had 2 chances to, put the nail in and finish you, but he hasn't done it, and he's left that door open, and we're over halfway through the heat. And if I'm Italo, that's how I'm looking at things. I'm going, okay, if I now turn this priority into a score that I can keep and that pressures him and it matches that 8-5, it's game on, and that 6-1-7 might even put me into the lead at that point. So super critical use of priority coming up for Italo here, and a couple of wastes of it for Gabriel.
Yeah, this is making this next exchange a very important one. 15 minutes to go here, and Gabriel Medina, he is holding on to that 8.5, definitely wants to push the requirement higher than a 5.94, and unfortunately hasn't been able to do it just yet. But that makes things a little stressful for both competitors in some ways.
And it makes it interesting for us as spectators too, and as commentators being able to sort of really analyse what's going on in the water. Gabriel here is going to have a shot at the rights.
Loading up, goes to the rotation, gets the completion. Wasn't a super steep section. The wave kind of tapering off a bit now, but he's just looking to get rid of that 3.6. And as we said before, push this requirement up a little bit higher and light a bit of a flame under Italo.
Yeah, that was a solid wave for Gabriel. Just to back up there, I don't think it's going to go too far north above 6 points, but what it's going to do is it's going to shift a bit of pressure back onto Italo, because all of a sudden that number of 5.94 is going to go way up. And psychologically, with 14 minutes to go, that's going to start playing on Italo Ferreira here. Look at the replay, streaking down the line, takes to the air, and, well, in Gabriel's books, not a big one. But for us mere mortals, we'd be stoked with that. And he just does some nice work all the way through to the inside here. Just bashing these oncoming sections. As we look at the slow-mo here, that sort of boxy stance forces it out of the lip a little bit. Being really critical on this one. Lands in the flats, not all the way around in terms of the rotation. But a nice solid manoeuvre, showing that progression and innovation. Back to that, what the judges wanted to see today.
I can see you off-screen, Barton, at the moment, just nodding your head, just picking up on the fact that Medina is just tactically so sharp in his decision-making during heats.
Absolutely. He those wastes of priority. Both these guys, I suppose, are 2 of the very best surfers in the world without priority. You can have priority, but they can turn a 2-point ride into a 10 at any given time. So when you've got that priority, ordinarily you might think it's an advantage, but against one of these guys, it could be a disadvantage, because while you sit there and wait for these things, they're able to farm around on the inside, turn what are ordinary waves into decent scores. And I suppose that was the thinking of Gabriel Medina there, and he's added a little bit to the bottom line.
Yeah, 4.83, and that's pushed that requirement up a couple of points now, and Italo's after a 7.17. Barton, just some final thoughts from you on what you think we can expect in the finals of this amazing contest.
Well, it's been great. And you know what, from my point of view, I just wanted to say congratulations to everyone, to WSL, to the surfers, to you guys, the whole team, because, it can't be easy to be running events at this point in time. And the WSL has brought surfing back to life, given us this great opportunity, this great sport to watch. And so congratulations to all of you. It's been great to watch from the sidelines. I've really enjoyed your guys' work as well, and can't wait to join you sometime soon.
Mate, always a pleasure to catch up. Lots of love to the fam, and we will see you when we head to the Northern Hemisphere.
Look forward to it. All the best, boys.
See you, Bill. Thanks, mate.
Always good to get a shot of Barton Lynch just to get the blood flowing. And we've got 11.5 minutes to go. Gabriel Medina's hanging on to that lead. Italo with priority, chasing a 7.17. We've been lapping up our time in the West, but it is coming to an end, but not until we crown our champions here at the ripcurl rottnest search presented by Corona. Gabriel Medina holding the lead over Italo at the moment and staying busy under priority, trying to push that requirement a little higher. He's not going to do it on this ride. Ronnie Blakey with Championship Tour surfer Richie Lovett. And Rich, it's been a pleasure to call these events with you, and as we reach the end of this Australian leg, just a couple of heats to go, but they're going to be so fun to watch. And I can't wait to see who gets the W here, because Morgan Siblic's going to get a crack at his first Championship Tour win. He's going to have his hands full with one of these two surfers.
Well, I just think Morgan's so composed as a rookie. It's amazing to see. And he's going to get a shot at it in his first year on the Championship Tour, which is quite remarkable. He's going to come up against the power and the experience of either Italo or Gabriel. As we can see, Italo now just having a look at this one. Gabriel's going to have a turn now.
Yeah, swinging without priority, drives up into the first section, goes the reverse, gets the completion, and he'll try and add some extra points on the inside here. Hammers the end section with a layback jam, and he's trying to get rid of a 4.83 there. 8.5 minutes to go, and we'll see if he gets that score. Medina pinballing through that inside, which saw a lot of surfers go down. On the outside, Italo has waited patiently with his priority, but sees big scoring opportunity here. Drives up into the lip, a monster rotation, and he's had a couple of big shots at it already. Incomplete, but he's close enough to the takeoff zone that he'll get that priority back.
Yeah, well, it's all going to come down to this next number for Gabriel Medina as well. Will he put a few more points on the board? Looking to better that 4.03. I think he's going to do it, Ron. Not by much, but it's definitely there. And again, just showing that progression and that commitment right at the start of that wave, going for the air reverse. We'll watch the replay here. So streaking down the line, so much speed. You see the stance widen slightly. Keeps that board very horizontal through that one, and almost a bit of an awkward finish to that wave. That first air was more of a projection towards the shoulder rather than an air that had a lot of height, but you can see just blast the fins out. And then Italo, well, this was just a monster section, and he was just so high. And I think he would have broken an ankle if he actually tried to land that one.
Expected this score to come in where it did, 5.2. Not massive for Medina. The first section just kind of flattened out a little bit on him. So it didn't have that big steep transition to come down on. And the last turn put a lot of power into it, but you're right, he didn't time it perfectly. But still, it was two decent committed turns on a good sized wave. 5.2. That makes the requirement a little bit more hefty for Italo. Yeah,
I like that, Scott. I think it's spot on. And for Gabriel, I almost feel like he was almost going to go to one of his big layback hacks on that first section, and then decided right at the last minute, I'll pop the air. You see Sally just getting ready for the final.
Sally Fitzgibbons getting prepared to take on Joanne Defay. Sally chasing her 12th Championship Tour win in her first final of this season. Joanne Defay also chasing her first win this season. This will be her best result. Joanne's after her 4th Championship Tour victory, but it was I guess what you'd call upset results. Sally and Joanne, they've had plenty of wins, but he did say goodbye to the world champions in the semis.
Yeah, that was interesting. But you know what? I wasn't surprised really, just with the form that both Sally and Joanne have been on, not only in this event but also through the Aussie leg. They've been so strong, and in particular on their backhand, just super dynamic. And for me, Sally has been the form surfer out of the whole women's draw in this event.
Yeah, fair call. Well, let's dive into the Harvey Norman recap and see how Medina established this lead, getting started early with an excellent score.
Wow, this was in the first minute or two, and Gabriel, watch this turn here, just so tight up in that critical pocket section. Hammers that third one. And that was an excellent scoring ride. And Italo streaking down the line here. He found this one, that big double-handed carve. Beautiful stuff. He's like a Formula One car, just zipping around the chicanes here. Up and over that final section. Gets the mate. Difficult. Really, really bumpy on the end section there. And then Gabriel, well, he's just been looking to build on that second score. And this is that 5.3. And a two-turn combination. The first air, and then that wobbly little finished turn, but it was enough. He keeps building. He keeps making the requirement harder and harder, but still well and truly within range for Italo. 7.54.
Such incredible showmen, these two. They love to entertain a crowd, but it's been a composed performance from Medina, and he's relied on that thunderous power at the start of this heat to establish this lead with that 8.5. And he's just been very sure of getting that second score a little bit higher on each of his rides to really put the blowtorch under Italo here. And Italo has felt it. We saw him going to the big turn on the start of his rides. Perhaps didn't need that. Could have leaned into some critical turns before setting up that air on the inside. Maybe just a little forced on that occasion.
100%. You took the words out of my mouth. I'm sort of thinking if Italo had just surfed that wave in the fashion that Gabriel did on his first wave, we could have a real exchange here. And he may have even taken the lead, just knowing how good he is on his rail and how good he is in that tight pocket approach. You know, perhaps he'll look back on this if he doesn't get through and go, oh, I should have surfed that wave, just stuck to the face and maybe just calmed down a little tiny bit.
There's a look at the final five. Medina well and truly on top, just been so dominant, has only missed the final of one event this season. That's how strong he's been. A couple of seconds, a win at Narrabeen. Left Margaret River with a 9th, but, you know, right back where he kicked things off and potentially eyeing off a place against Morgan Siblick here, but it's not over just yet. One thing I will say is both these guys can be reckless, and they can really throw everything at every section that comes their way. I think typically we see them with more rides than what they've got on the board at the moment when they're up against competitors who they feel like they've got a performance edge over. But I feel like there's too much respect between one another here at the moment. They know what they're capable of, so there's been a bit more attention to the bigger waves and really making sure that you're on them.
Well, this is a weird performance from Italo in the fact that he's only caught 5 waves, and every other heat that he's had probably in Australia he's had upwards of 10 to 12 waves minimum. So this is kind of new territory for him. He's been forced to be a little bit more selective here as we are on a decreasing swell as well. But one thing you can be certain of, that if these guys are put into a position where they need a score in the final minute or two, they're both going to go absolute hammer and tongs to try and get it. They're going to leave nothing in the tank.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, Italo has been selective and really smart with his wave selection, but he's been reckless on those rides. And I think that, you know, usually he's able to save himself with reps under priority, but on this occasion he's put a lot of pressure on himself.
Well, when you look at both these surfers in this heat, you know, Gabriel surfed a smart heat. He hasn't taken many unnecessary risks on that first wave. Just he couldn't have really surfed it any better, in my opinion. And then he's just built under Italo's priority. Here we go. Here's crunch time for Italo.
Yeah, he set the pace with that first ride, but Italo eyeing off a ramp on the backhand. And he pulls through the back of this one.
Well, that is a huge moment there. So Italo giving up priority, and look at Gabriel just knowing how dangerous this guy can be. No, he says he's not going to get it on that one.
Maintains that priority with 40 seconds to go here. And there is a shake of the hands going down. And Italo waving that white flag. Watch Gabriel Medina, though. Keep an eye on him. 30 seconds on the clock.
Well, this is exactly what happened to Julian Wilson against Geordie Smith in down at Margaret River there, and Geordie ended up sneaking one in the final 10 seconds and got him. And there's a couple of bumps on the horizon here, Ronnie, so it's not over yet.
Well, 15 seconds to go, and Medina set the pace early, an 8.5, and that's when the heat kind of took a different shape for Italo. He wanted to match that big number. He started throwing some big airs but didn't make anything stick. And as a result, as the clock winds down, he's left chasing that 7.54. And Medina brings this one through to the inside. Huge backside reverse. And he puts his body on the line unnecessarily. And he's back on his board. It looks like he's okay. But that is, that's the showman coming to play. The two-time world champ, Gabriel Medina, edges ahead of the 2019 world champion. And he will be taking on Morgan Siblig in the final.
Wow, that was certainly entertaining. Some great surfing there. And Gabriel, on the strength of that opening ride, just some amazing power surfing. He's your victor through to the final.
What a show it's going to be. But first up, we'll have the women's final with Sally Fitzgibbons taking on Joanne Defay. We'll bring in Joe Tappel and Wayne Rabbit Bartholomew for the call.
The criteria.
And it's all about the Sally Fitzgibbons show this morning.
That is a monster score. Look how happy she is with that. Lands it flush.
It'll be Joanne Defay and Sally Fitzgibbons in the final. Watching Finals Day here at the ripcurl rottnest Search presented by Corona. Sally Fitzgibbons in the final with Joanne Defay. And Defay just with her second victory over Carissa Moore in her career. Made that one count to get this matchup here in the final. Sally over Tyler, and Tyler had a really tough time landing her maneuvers this morning, and Fitzgibbons took advantage of it. Turned in a 9.10, her best number of the season. Live action, paddle battle to start. Accomplishing the first wave is Fitzgibbons on the left. Snap already out of the way. Second turn, nice and clean. Nice quick carve under the lip on a solid left-hander here at Strickland Bay. Final coming up next as well with Medina and Morgan Siblig. Two more heats to complete. Joe Tappel with Wayne Rabbit Bartholomew for the call. Bugs. The moment we've been waiting for. Sally versus Joanne Defay. Both will have spots in the final five moving into the surf ranch.
40-minute final, Joe, and Sally Fitzgibbon has opened up. She means business here in this final. A 6.67 opening ride, and she looked really on song on that first wave.
She looked incredibly solid in the heat with Tyler, where she was making sense of these conditions. She said she felt she's cracked the code here at Strickland Bay. She spent a ton of time on the lay days, rain or shine, making sure her equipment's solid and she's ready to compete. Do you think there's a favorite between Joanne Defay or Sally Fitzgibbons in this final?
Well, they both got a case. You know, Joanne on the East Coast at North Narrabeen showed her that she's got one of the best backhand attacks in the game. Sally, where she knows how to win.
Because we see that aggressive start. It really came down to Sally's just positioning to frame up the left. Joanne from out the back couldn't catch up to it. Fitzgibbons capitalizing on some clean water with that 6-6-7.
Yeah, it's really cleaned up out there. The sun's come out for the women's final. It's looking sparkling at Strickland Bay.
Laura Enever, we had world champs in the draw with Tyler and Carissa. Are you surprised that it's Sally and Joanne Defay in the final now?
Not at all, guys. I'm out the back with Dometic. Finals, baby. Yeah, just like you said, Raz, it's sparkling, it's beautiful. And, yeah, I'm not surprised these two are in the final. Joanne and Sally, both of them have taken out Cloudbreak, which is, you know, this wave right now is most resembling Cloudbreak, and I think, you know, it's no secret that they've got incredible backsides and backhand attacks and can really throw it hard and commit to those gnarly end sections. So I think, you know, out here I can't even really pick it at the moment. You know, Sally, I know she does know how to win, but Joanne, she's just so smart with her wave selection. So yeah, we know she's on a bit of a bigger board today, and that was looking really incredible in her last semi. So yeah, I can't pick it.
Interesting, Laura, that now we'll have 5 different winners at the 5 stops of the season so far. That doesn't happen every year on tour.
It really doesn't, but that's what makes competitive surfing so exciting. This has been such a cool leg, these last 4 events, you know, going to new spots and seeing everyone adapt, and it's been really incredible to see the whole tour family come together and just see these stories unfold for the year. So I've been loving it. It's super exciting.
Loving it, Laura. So we're seeing more consistency. You mentioned that it's cleaned up quite a bit. Do you think they're going to be favoring the left in this final?
Yeah, I think they will. I think, you know, we know that these girls can get scores on rights. I mean, maybe Sally might, you know, go some rights under priority like we saw in her first heat. But, you know, these lefts, these big lefts are standing up, and just picking the ones that have the slower pace is what these girls are going to need to do to, you know, just try and get their turns in, time everything correctly, and go big. Awesome,
Laura. Thank you so much. Sally versus Joanne Defay. Joanne with priority now. I saw Joanne's mom before the final started, and Josie was so happy with that win in the semifinals, and she went on to compliment Carissa once again. She said, you have to be perfect when you compete against Carissa. That means no mistakes with wave selection. You've got to capitalize when you have those big moments to turn the heat, and she certainly did in that last one, picking up the better waves and looked really powerful as she waits to get started here. 40 minutes on the clock, so 5 more minutes than what we saw in the semifinals this morning. And Joanne Defay picks off a bomb super deep. Now out in front. First turn, clean snap. And she will lose the rail on the bottom turn. Good for one move to get things started.
Yeah, she hit some pretty rough water there that kind of looked like the rapids.
So trying to control that bottom turn was tough. Let's get some insight on surfboard equipment with Dimity Stoyle. What's Joanne riding?
Hey, Joe. Yeah, she's switched back to her 510, which she rode in the free surf this morning. She was on her 5.9, her favourite board in that last semi-final, and she got a really good score on that. And she just said, when I asked her why'd she switch, and she just said, it's a lot more powerful out there than it looks. So she's jumped onto the 510. Not a great start, but hopefully she'll get that first wobbly wave out of the way, and hopefully she finds her rhythm on the next one.
Thank you, Dimity. And very interesting how much a difference an inch can make at this level of the game at the top platform. And Defay was obviously in 2 minds. She tested this 510 this morning, was like, nah, I'm going to go with the 5.9, and made that adjustment back to the 510 for the final. Both on Sharp Eye surfboards. And Sally Fitzgibbons kicking off with a clean left at a 6.67. And we'll see what Joanne did on her last wave again, Bugs.
Yeah, well, she had to come from behind once again, Joe, and she gets that nice clean first maneuver, and then she hits some rapids, some really choppy water in front of that wave. And it was all heading the wrong way. She just skipped out.
So Joanne Defay accomplishing a major win over Carissa earlier, and she's got her back against the wall in previous history when it comes to Sally Fitzgibbons as well. As we look at the deep stats powered by Hydro Flask, 7-2 Sally's favor in their history on tour. But like Laura was saying, they've got some similarities in where they've won, especially in Cloudbreak and Fiji, where Sally was a superhero surfing against doctor's orders when she burst her eardrum and went on to the podium, backed up that title. And Defay kind of reminded everybody where she comes from. Basically, anytime she goes left, growing up at Reunion Island, that backhand looks solid, especially in bigger sections. She has so much power.
You know, she may have gone back on that 5-10, because in that last heat with Italo and Medina, there was a lot of bombs, a lot of big waves.
Fitzgibbons tagging that inside section off the bottom, and a clean way to finish off a messy section. Sally has definitely figured out this tricky lineup at Strickland Bay. Backing up that 6-6-7. Her last major one on tour, which was her 11th CT victory, was in Saquarema. It's always cool looking back at that vision. She kept putting her hand over her heart. She had so much passion and drive to return to the podium and get that big win. I suppose now, Bugs, with what we'll have 5 different winners on the women's side this season, it's more of a recent trend, because we did experience that back in 2019, which was the last full season we had on tour. And that's when we saw Caroline win on the Gold Coast, Courtney with her win down at Bells Beach, Lakey Peterson getting her Margaret River win, Carissa winning J Bay. We actually had 6 different winners of the first 6 of the season in 2019. But before that happened, we hadn't seen that happen since 2002.
Yeah, well, that's right. And there's a reason for that, as we see. And the big reason for that is that there's been, between Stephanie Gilmore, Carissa Moore and Tyler Wright, they have won the last 13 world titles. And they have really dominated at the top. And in that whole time, Sally was there. And during that whole time, Sally got 11 tour victories, but wasn't able to quite crack the code of the world title. She's cracked the code here at Strickland Bay, and she targets her events, and when she looks on song, you know, that's why she's won 11.
Carissa Moore's lead will not be questioned. She'll still be world number 1 heading into the Surf Ranch, where she's one of the best at that venue. So it's up to Sally and Joanne Defay to work out their positions in that final 5. Joanne can go all the way up to number 3 if she wins. Sally could be number 2 in the world if she gets the win. As the debrief continues with Carissa and her husband Luke.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, she's just got 3rd, you know, in the last 3 tournaments, even though she'll leave Australia, riding high in the leader's jersey with some, you know, fantastic. I mean, that's 5 top 3 results, a 1st, a 2nd, 3 thirds. Amazing start to the year, but still disappointment, you know, still feeling underachieving to her standards, just not cracking finals.
Carissa Moore chose the jersey number 10 because that's what she's striving for every time she competes. She gets runner-up in a final. She's always looking at ways to improve. That's what's made her such an incredible champion, a 4-time reigning world champ, still world number 1.
Another pattern that Sally has established during this event is that she's been getting these, you know, establishing early leads, and she's got the 6-6-7, the 5-3-3, similar to her semi-final against Tyler. 2 good scores, and that she can build on.
Off the bottom, there's the snap from Defay. Rolling into this next section, she'll step off. Defay trying to break down a pretty big number, a 9-5 to go right into first, but a ton of time to get 2 new scores to come back against Sally Fitzgibbons. Sally started off incredibly strong this morning against Tyler and really never had her lead questions, had Tyler comboed for that entire matchup. And so Defay's trying to avoid sitting too long and trying to get herself back in the game quickly. Numbers in for Joanne, just a 3-6-7 for that effort. And bombs out the back. More sunshine on our lineup. Things are cleaning up conditions-wise, and priority with Sally. She'll roll into a bomb. Hard off the bottom, clean backside hack from Fitzgibbons. Delaying that bottom turn for another backside hack. Takes the step down and will ride out and then get detonated by the whitewater on that shallow reef. Great composure, though, to get the completion before stepping off through that double up.
It was definitely a strategic dismount. There was some pretty shallow water beneath her feet, beneath the board. Sally got that one big move in on that one. It was looking like a repeat of a semi-final where she ended up with that massive score. She established those 2 6s, and then I think she got that 9-1.
Yeah, the 9-1 was brilliant, Bugs. It was a crazy free fall on the finishing move, a huge, meaty backside hook. Before, judges said they're going to reward big combinations heavily today. Let's take another look.
Well, there's a bomb. It's a beautiful, big, sparkling wave. That first turn there, massive. And she looks at this wave and she wraps it under a little earlier because she can see ahead of her all this. This is heavy water. Wasn't going to offer that clean finish, Joe. So she made the smart move. She's capitalised on that first manoeuvre there, which set the stage for a good score. And she just had to, just had to play it smart. That was a dismount. That was definitely not a situation where you'd say an incomplete or a not make. And she gets a good score for this one, 6.93. That eliminates that mid-range 5 score. And so now we're talking about establishing a foundation.
You see how talented Sally is, understanding numbers, understanding the game so well. You hardly see her repeat herself. She knows her scores now, and she'll strike on her next wave just based on trying to improve on those totals.
So with Joanne, the scoring requirement, if you say it quickly, she needs a 10. But let's, in practicality, she needs 2 waves. She needs a 6.5 to get back into this heat.
Joanne Defay's done so well on tour to improve with her composure in major matchups. She's always had these individual moves that are incredible to watch. Big power hacks on her forehand and backhand. We saw her throw that radical nose pick reverse at Snapper a few years back, which got acknowledgement from her peers as the best maneuver completed that season on tour in the high performance progression regard. Today's going to be probably all about power today. Even though Sally's been warming up with airs on smaller days of competition, it feels like power surfing is going to be the decider in this final.
Yeah, well, Joanne's had a pretty slow first half. 40 minutes. We've got 2.5 minutes to go before we get to that halfway mark. She'd like to get a scoring wave either side of that halfway point just to give her a little bit of a comfort zone. Sally Fitzgibbon, we know now she's got 2 keepers. She'll be looking to put this away with an 8-point ride.
Sally Fitzgibbon's growing up on the beach on the south coast of New South Wales. First on a boogie board in Chiroa, and then quickly got on a surfboard and just shadowed her 3 older brothers. Wanted to do everything that they could do. Still leading out front. Let's take a moment to catch up with Carissa Moore with Stace.
Carissa, you've had an unbelievably consistent Australian leg. You must be proud of that effort.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I would have loved to have done 1 or 2 better here, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, and I'll probably go back and rewatch things and take some stuff from this event moving forward.
Any idea of what they might be straight off the bat?
I think most of the time, I think for me it's about creating rhythm for myself and giving myself opportunities, and I just didn't give myself enough chances to serve. So I think probably just looking at ways to improve on that.
Obviously lost to Joanne in the semis, but you're in her corner now cheering her on. How do you think she's going so far?
Yeah, I love Joanne. She's one of my best friends on tour, and yeah, I hope she does well. Right now she's kind of a little out of rhythm, but there's a lot of opportunities and waves coming through. Sal's surfing really strong, so and I like Sal too. So whoever wins, it's gonna be cool to see them celebrate and enjoy this one.
Appreciate your time. Best luck the rest of the year.
Carissa Moore, world number 1. Just a quick debrief there, looking at her result of a semifinal. Never satisfied unless she's winning, but cool that she's hanging out to watch this one finish out with Johanne Defay, one of her closest friends on tour. And so much respect for Sally Fitzgibbons. Rolling in now is Johanne Defay.
Yeah, it was a smaller wave, Joe. She just needs to get something on the board, but yeah, we've seen a lot of one-sided matches here today so far. With the heat with Sally and Tyler, incredibly one-sided, and that sort of established a pattern. You know, Morgan, I mean, even Medina and Italo. I mean, Italo, you know, he was still reasonably close, but by his standards, he never really got going.
It's a good point, Bugs. Basically, in every heat, it's been one-sided. Basically focused on rhythm, where you look at numbers that are achievable to get back in the heat. It just didn't seem to happen for Tyler through the majority of that semifinal. Gabriel Medina definitely took control early.
And Johanne Defay, I mean, Carissa came back late. She got that 7.5, but she only had 2 minutes remaining on the clock, and he just left the run a bit too late. As we see Sally's just got the lion's share of these waves. Her wave selection has been extraordinary.
Sally off the bottom. There's that first snap. Beautiful bottom turn again. Tags it. Great timing. That thing went vert quick under her feet, and she had to get out of there quick. Well done for the two-turn combo on a solid set wave.
Yeah, Sally's really looking to put this one away. That was a solid ride. I think it's going to go beyond that 6-point range now.
Sally chasing what would be her 12th championship tour victory of her career. Laura Enever, Sally is on a roll. She looked great in the warm-up, and she hasn't stopped since then.
Yeah, she has, Joey. She's been having a bigger smile after every wave that she's paddling out after, and you know, she's just in the rhythm of these sets, these slower paced sets that Joanne just has not been able to find right now, and just poor Joanne's turning around and just seeing Sally on just like the best looking wave of the day. So, you know, Sally's got the rhythm. It's looking like it's going all her way at the moment, but yeah, we should see her paddle past soon. I'm sure she'll have that big smile of hers.
Laura, are you getting a take on why we've had one-sided heats, one surfer in rhythm, maybe one out? Are there only maybe one good wave in a set at this point of the day?
No, there has been two-wave sets. I just think that, you know, I feel like Joanne, she moved in a little bit, and she's trying to get something smaller to just try and get some bigger turns on. There's some of the sets are coming through, and they're coming from, you know, coming from a different angle and being a bit more fat, and they're the ones that Joanne's have been picking off, but Sally's have been coming in more straight and just lining up and just being top to bottom the whole way. So I think just Joanne just choosing the wrong waves right now. But yeah, here goes Sally. She's looking determined. Got a bit of a smile popping through.
We love it, Laura. Thank you so much. And we saw the angle Laura has, how hollow it is looking into the left. Fitzgibbons doing a great job for another two-turn combo, Bugs.
Oh, this is very similar to the heat she had with Tyler. You know, she's transferred this onto the final now because that's an 8.17. Very similar pattern. She established those two 6-point early. It was kind of low 6-point rides against Tyler. These are the high 6-point rides against Joanne. And now that 8.17, that has really put Joanne in a bit of a difficult situation. She's comboed right now. She needs to, she went fishing around looking for a smaller wave. Bit of a questionable strategy against Sally, who's in the building process.
Johanne Defay trying to come back. First turn, she'll come down with a lip line. And second section's going to elude her there, so holding her to one maneuver, where she had the goal of breaking the combination. But she still might be needing two new waves with 16:30 to go.
Yeah, it looked promising for her. But she, as you said, it eluded her. That second, she needed to really finish that one in a flourish.
Well, that just speaks to Sally again. Just thinking about how smart she is when she has a lead. She just continues to build. 8.17. She rarely takes a wave after she gets a lead and doesn't improve. She's such a smart competitor and always taking notes every time she free surfs, changing her lineup marks, seeing what's working and what's not. She took off in the dark this morning to make sure she was the first one out. And that's really paid off here at Strickland Bay.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed, you know, we're all on the communal sort of express we get the bus together, early in the morning, getting out here an hour before light. And Sally's one of the first on the bus every day, and she sits in this little zone, and she's in this zone of silence, and you can just feel the kind of intensity and focus she's got, and she's really applied it.
All that hard work paying off so far for Sally Fitzgibbons as she leads over Joanne Defay and still has her comboed. We'll be back for more of the final right after this. The ripcurl rottnest search presented by Corona is brought to you by ripcurl, the ultimate surfing company. By Rottnest Island Authority, strategic sponsor of the ripcurl rottnest search. By Bonsoy, good, better, Bonsoy, the original and the best, frothing since 1983. By Oakberry Acai, there's acai and there's Oakberry, the official acai of the WSL Australia. And by Rottnest Express, official ferry of the ripcurl rottnest search. The Australian leg has been incredible, and we've seen a lot of different champions. We went back to the ripcurl Newcastle Cup presented by Corona, where Italo had such an exciting, explosive performance, beat Medina in the final. Kirsten Moore had the win over Isabella Nichols. We stayed on the East Coast, just went down the coast. The Ripcurl Narrabeen Classic presented by Corona. Gabriel once again was in another final. Took the win over Connor Coffin. Caroline Marks got her victory over Tatiana Weston-Webb. Got on another charter flight headed to the west. We saw Felipe and Tatiana take out Margaret River. And we're going to have a new champion on the women's side here in the fifth stop of the season. Defay finishing a nice clean backhand motion to try to get back in this heat with the goal of breaking the combination against Sally Fitzgibbons. She's had a couple of scores in the 3 range, but look at the big numbers for Sal, who's got her total out front, trying to improve on a 6.93, 12:30 to go. Let's see Joanne's from the start here.
Yeah, it's a smaller wave, Joe, but she really goes to town on this one, and she gets those final moves. Her third move, yes, this will be a better score for her.
Standing by for numbers of last of Joanne Defay is a rookie named Morgan Siblick, is preparing for his first championship tour final. And what a year it's been for Siblick. He'll be back in the top 10 picture. And Gabriel Medina into another final. And it's top 5. He's only missed one final, and that was at Margaret River this year. For Gabby Medina into his 4th out of 5. I mean, the last surfer to achieve that inside the first 5 events of a year was Kelly Slater back in 2008. As he went on to his 8th world title that season. And now numbers rolling in for Joanne Defay. Goal is to break that combination, one for confidence and for rhythm, to try to challenge Sally for this win. There's so many contenders these days. We talked about the domination of our champions of the sport. Even going back in history, there was a lot of multiple-time world champions that would just take over eras. Wendy Botha, Frida Zamba, Lisa Anderson, you could go on and on. Lane Beachley, a 7-time world champ who actually won 6 in a row as well, which is still a record. Let's get some more equipment talk in this final with Dimity Stoll. Dimity, what do you have there?
Yeah, Joe, well, I'm actually currently holding Joanne's favourite board, which got her to the final. And now she's out there on the 5'10", which is an inch longer. And I just feel like if it's not broken, why fix it? And it would have been nice to see her take this one out. It might have taken her a little bit longer to warm up to that 5'10". She just got a good score on that last one, so hopefully she's got enough time now to just find another one.
Well, Dimity, it's interesting, isn't it, how terrible that feeling is when you'd rather be on a different board and you're sitting out there going, man, I made a wrong decision. Do you think she's there yet, or just has to work it out and get on the right waves?
Yeah, well, it's all just mental games at this point, and you just got to back yourself. And this board's got her this far to the final. You know, she's been getting amazing scores in every other heat, so it's a surprise that she's changed right before the final.
Be honest, Dimity, you've been holding that board for a while. Are you trying to take a little test drive after this?
Yeah, well, if I just sneak off with it, maybe she might not notice and I can get out there after the men's final.
We love it. We'll catch up with Dimity in a moment. Meanwhile, Sally's still out front, but the score for DeFay puts her in a great spot now, Bug. So 7.23. Now she can really get her head around a 7.88 to try to take the lead.
Well, it gives her more than a glimmer of hope here, because that was not a big wave, but 3 really sharp manoeuvres, a 7.23 on a mid-size wave. That would give Joanne Defay a lot of hope, and it'll certainly keep Sally, paying attention to the priority rotation and trying to be, play the clock, being aware that Joanne, an excellent score. She takes the lead. She takes the final. That's how dangerous Joanne Defay is.
Well, we think about the role for Sally in the win over Tyler. She never had to switch gears mentally or choosing waves because she had Tyler comboed for so long. But this is now a nice test for Sally mentally. And Joanne's entered Sally's headspace knowing that it's a lot closer now. She could do it with a 7.88. Some surfers, when they feel their opponent come back, then they almost try to protect something, and they're not as free as they once before when they were just swinging for the fences and getting their start.
Well, that's right, Joe. And you've got when you've got a fast finishing opponent, you can nearly hear their footsteps behind you.
Exactly. So we'll see if Fitzgibbons is still feeling confident as a bomb rolls through. That left just draining down the line.
Yeah, and that men's final coming up, you spoke about Morgan Sibley, the rookie, the breakthrough into the final. What a daunting task to take on two-time world champion, the man who wears the leader's jersey, Gabriel Medina, getting ready for what is now become his comfort zone, the final.
What a year for Medina. The best by far in his career, and he's a 2-time world champ, the most decorated surfer in the draw here at the Rip Curl Rottnest Search presented by Corona. He's already had some matchups with his Rip Curl teammate. Not a final yet, but they did have a semifinal and a quarterfinal on the East Coast. Medina remains undefeated early, but a final, we'll see if it changes and what Morgan's learned over those previous matchups against the current world number 1.
It'll be really interesting to see how Morgan rises to this challenge. And, interesting, Kelly Slater the other day in our interview with him, he alluded to the fact that Gabriel Medina is one of the highest paid athletes ever in the sport, which is saying a lot. You think about, there's pretty good prize money on offer for this final. You think Gabby's even considering the money side of how much he's going to win here today?
I think he's been so successful already, Bugs, financially, that he's just all focused on performance. He's ready to meet all of his goals. He's always said he's wanted a third world title. Definitely helps when you can travel comfortably on the road.
Yeah, well,
he definitely deserves it.
Yeah. I got a nice little charity he could donate that money to.
Yeah, well, Bugs, you created this dream. We're all loving it, and Medina's obviously loving it as well. Battling for titles all around the world. Been traveling with his wife. He's well prepared. Medina also got Siblick at Pipeline when Morgan was making his debut. That was in the round of 32. So 3-0 against the rookie on tour. Remember, we had a rookie win recently, William Cardoso winning at Uluwatu, the continuation of the Margaret River event. When he beat Julian Wilson, he let out a roar that went up the cliff at Ulus.
Yeah, and I'd have to say, look, the top echelon surfers, the elite surfers, are really good at supporting charities and you know, kids and nurturing talent, and you know, I'm really proud of the professional surfers of today.
Making you proud, Bugs. That's what we love to hear. Backside snap from Sally. Nice float for a two-turn combination. We reference cloud break a lot. She's won a lot in beach breaks around the world. One of the most consistent surfers in Brazil. Had a series of finals. Former champ there multiple times. But she's looking for a big search trophy. We go back to her rookie season. The search went to Portugal that year. That was when her other rookie in her class, Coco Ho, was able to take a win. Sally was there in Puerto Rico when Steph got the win and achieved her 4th world title. Now that Globe trophy is back after over a decade in between search events. And Sally's waited a long time to compete for that trophy once again. 4:30 on the clock, remaining in the women's final. Let's break it down in the Harvey Norman Heat recap. Fitzgibbon's rhythm has been proven since the warm-up, comboing Tyler Wright and starting off with the lead against Joanne Defay.
Yeah, she's had a couple of solid rides, a 6.93 there, and then she got this unbelievable bomb. Sort of had to really manage that takeoff, and then she just went to town. 2 huge moves, Joe, on a big wave. That got her that 8.17. That really has established a solid lead. Joanne Defay, she gets back into the heat with this. Look how sharp her surfing is. She gets the right wave. There's only a smallish wave. 3 great maneuvers, a 7.23, and really that's it's really based on one good ride for Joanne. That's been the difference. That last effort of Sally Fitzgibbons, a 6.1, doesn't go into a top 2. Now it does allow Joanne to be sitting out there with priority, but there's Sally. She's gone back to business.
Big snap, clean left there, hits it nice and early.
Oh, so Sally Fitzgibbons stays on the offensive, Joe.
She certainly does. She said she's figured out the system here, and one thing I'm noticing is how great she is at finishing. We know how terrible that end section has been for our competition. She knows when to arrive in the lip before it bottoms out, before she can see that reef coming for the bottom of her board. She's been almost 100% on her finishing moves on finals day.
Well, she's looking to, you know, get better than, basically better than a 7-point ride to really improve her position, make it that much tougher for Joanne, and she's definitely going to be flirting with that number.
So Sally with a lot on the line, a big win here today would take her to number 2 in the final 5 picture. Remember, that was Tatiana's spot coming in to stop number 5.
Oh, yeah, she's done it too. That's 7.07. I thought she might just eclipse that 6.93, and she has a 7.07. What that does now is that officially Joanne Defay requires an excellent score. An 8-point ride won't do it. She needs just a tad more, Joe.
That's right, Bugs. And it looks like she might be gunning for it now. 2:10 on the clock, Joanne Defay. Can't catch up to that left.
Well, did she paddle for that with enough intent to flip the priority? Was Sally in position to sort of reclaim priority? Not seeing any movement yet on the priority judges. No, she's maintained priority.
That's right. I think they were probably saying that Sally wasn't far out enough to just get it right in her favor. So Joanne will be able to take a look at that left and hang on to first priority, needing an 8.02.
Well, she can channel her past performances to extract that from a wave, because Joanne Defay, if a bomb set comes through now, this is within her wheelhouse. She has the potential to take this with a big bombing, attacking left-hand effort.
Here she goes. Joanne Defay looking for an 8.02. Big hack to start. So far, so good for Defay. Big section. And can't control it. And she was certainly swinging for not just an 8, maybe a 10 on her backhand. Sally's in motion into the final minute. Drills that first section. Beautifully off the bottom. Nice finesse off the top. She'll go right into a float and has to cannonball out of the sky.
Wow, that was a pretty vicious fall, that one. That's, well, just check on Sally on that one. I didn't like the way she fell on that one. But both girls have come through unscathed. And, you know, Joanne, she had it right there. It was an incredibly difficult attempt, but that was going to get the score. And then Sally's answer would have got it back, but they both come unstuck on that last section. But what a courageous effort. A courageous effort on that last exchange by both women.
Joanne Defay was going for the turn of the contest. As that thing went hollow, she put everything into that effort to try to come back for the win. As we run out of time in this final, Sally Fitzgibbons is going to enjoy that Globe trophy, and she'll be bringing that one back to Giroa very soon. Sally Fitzgibbons, your Rip Curl Rottnest Search champion, and now you're number 2 in the world. Sally was in such an incredible rhythm from the morning and was never questioned for her connection here on the laps here at Strickland Bay. One of the hardest working surfers in the game, and now sitting in a great spot now into the final 5.
And Joe, both of these ladies, both Sally and Joanne, their final 5 credentials have been laid down. They certainly have the potential, and Sally, she'll be dangerous in that final 5.
Joanne Defay doing incredibly well, making a big final here in 2021. She'll now be equal 5th with Stephanie Gilmore. Let's send it to Laura and talk to the champ.
Sally Fitzgibbons, Rip Curl Rottnest Search champion, presented by Corona. We are so excited. How's it feel?
I'm just exhausted. I gave it everything. Joey here, she's surfing so good, and right until the last one, I thought she might have had it, so I just, went through on the last one. It was just dry. But that's what surfing's all about, just playing the game and enjoying whatever happens in the heat. It feels so good to be back in that winner's circle.
Yeah, you're well and truly back, Sally, and you've skyrocketed to number 2 in the world at the moment. Eyes are set on that final 5 for the rest of the year. How's it feeling?
Yeah, I've set those goals all year and just quietly gone about them in my own manner, and I just believe it's possible, and if I just do everything in my power, then days like this, the planets align. So, but all the energy is coming from home, so mum and dad, my best mates, Jamie Critty, Carl's, and my favourite little grommies. Hey, Jaron and Seiji, I know you're at school and watching, so thanks, guys.
Yeah, we're so excited for you, Sal, and yeah, what a huge Aussie leg. You've been travelling alone. How's that played into your evolution as a surfer? I mean, spending a lot of time just travelling by yourself, but look at you coming down here with all that support at home.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, I walk down here and it seems like I'm alone, but all the work's done, and I have to come down here and trust myself and my own instincts, and that's been the next kind of step, that I can be my own coach and manage those emotions, and I know the important ones are there in my corner, and they're every step of the way. So thanks, guys, for everything, and it just feels so good. I'm so stoked.
We're so excited for you, Sally. Rip Curl Rottnest Search. How's it feel to win a search event?
That's extra special, you know, because especially, I grew up watching the ones, and they're usually on lefts too, so I don't get that much opportunity to use my strength on my backside surfing, so that's what made it like extra special. I showed up and I was like, you beauty, we got some lefts, and trusted in that, and we may not have come back here. It might be one of those things that, just a milestone to come and win a search.
Well, I can't wait to see you lift that huge epic trophy up, Sally. Let's get you in and celebrating, and stay tuned. The men's final is coming right up, guys.